From Acheron by Sherilyn Kenyon. We almost made it to 30 seconds without an insult. I think we set a new record.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. Today, we'll be diving deep into The Initial Insult by Mindy McGinnis. This is your captain speaking, Mallory. Our supreme overlord, Carla, is here with me, though she didn't quite finish the book.
I tried.
My soul sister, Ariel, is missing from me today, so if I cry at all during this episode, you didn't hear it. Zach is joining us from Seattle, Washington.
What's up, what's up?
I totally forgot to I've deleted the whole thing, so I had to rewrite it. I forgot to put you in it, so I'm sorry you didn't get an intro.
No, it's fine. I understand. I'm forgettable like that.
I know. Yeah.
Sounds like it's insulting to me.
That is the initial insult right there.
It wasn't meant as an insult. I just realized that. I was like, why don't I have Zach in here? Okay. Coming up in our libraries, we have Ravenswood. They're hosting a craft week before school starts back. You're going to be making like time capsules for your kids, back to school time capsules. So you can stop in anytime during that week. Actually, it'll be this week for you guys. And you can make your little time capsules.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one.
Time capsules. We're good. It's fine. Ravenswood is having a new science night, and that'll be on August 15th at 6 p.m. It's for ages 8 to 12, and they will be making elephant toothpaste. So that'll be pretty fun. August 20th at 5:30, Ravenswood is also doing teen denim crafts. And actually, just August 20th in general is a very busy night. So they're also having a plant swap at 6 on August 20th. And then in Ripley, we will be having Steam Night. And I've decided we're going to test a couple of unpoppable bubble recipes. And I also found a recipe for Kool-Aid bubbles. So we're going to try and paint with those. That'll be fun, I think. Mm-hmm. So that's for ages 5 to 12. And so you can sign up for that as well. So, okay, The Initial Insult by Mindy McGinnis. Let me bring up the summary for this. Welcome to Amontillado, Ohio, where your last name is worth more than money and secrets can be kept for a price. Tress Montour knows that her family used to mean something until she didn't have a family anymore. When her parents disappeared 7 years ago while driving her best friend home, Tress lost everything. She might still be a Montour, but the entire town shuns her now that she lives with her drunken, one-eyed grandfather at what locals refer to as the White Trash Zoo. A wild animal attraction featuring a zebra, a chimpanzee, a panther, and other things. Felicity Tornado has it all. Looks, money, and a secret that she's kept hidden. She knows that one misstep could send her tumbling from the top of the social ladder, and she's worked hard to make everyone forget that she was with the Montours the night they disappeared. Felicity has buried what she knows so deeply that she can't even remember what it is. Only that she can't look at Tress without having a panic attack. But she'll have to. Tress has a plan. A Halloween costume party at an abandoned house provides the ideal situation for Tress to pry the truth from Felicity, brick by brick, as she slowly seals her former best friend into a coal chute. With a drunken party above them and a loose panther on the prowl, Tress will have her answers or settle for revenge. So yeah, that's a very long, but it's a
good
quick
summary.
Yeah, it's a quick book, like as long as that summary is, but a lot happens in this book. I mean, it's a lot of guessing work in this book. The second one really uncovers it all and lays it all out. So if you're wanting like the full story, I would go ahead and prepare to have the second one, which is the last laugh, at the ready so that you can like just carry on the story. But I loved this book the first time I read it, and I loved it the second time too.
I didn't like it quite that much.
Yeah.
I thought there was, it's kind of disturbing. Maybe
it's
disturbing. Like, yeah, I think it was very disturbing. Yeah. It was like there was I mean, I know there's people that live in situations like that in real life, but it was like, oh my gosh. And you felt sorry for him and didn't like him at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I liked about this book. There wasn't really a hero.
There's not.
Yeah. And like you do feel for pretty much everybody, but also none of them are that good. But this is, in my opinion, this is what the magicians could have been. Like I could have, everybody had substance and, you know, like they were really realistic people.
Yeah, and you understood where they were coming from.
Yeah.
And it was very real. Like,
yeah. And
interactions and stuff like that and how they felt about things. But it's like, whoa.
Yeah. There's very big feelings in this tiny little town.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't know. I think overall, I think I enjoyed the book. I did hate the characters, and every single time I thought that I was like, oh, you're starting to get some sympathy from me. Then the next, like, insult or whatever would happen, or the next awful thing that Tress did would happen, and you're like, oh, well, never mind. You can just get bricked up in a wall. Or, go ahead and lose your arm to that cat. I don't care. You're awful people.
Yep.
The only good person in this whole thing, like, so Ribbit was fine. Ribbit was the cousin, Tress's cousin, who just did everything for everybody. He was a nice guy, but he was kind of like, you know, he had kind of a simp for everybody.
He was kind of sad.
He was kind of sad, yeah. And it's like, he had an unfortunate scenario for him, but Hugh was clearly the best character in the whole book. Super nice.
True.
The only actually good person, I think, that was described in the book.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, I can't think of another person.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. And I will say in the second book, you do interact with him a lot more. And you get to see, like, his at-home life.
Yeah.
And I mean, he really is just, like, the best little baby.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot going on with a lot of these people. And it is just, like, popularity contest, the entire book.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's what drove me crazy about it. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like, are we still at that stage in life?
They are, yes.
Yeah.
And there are people that really are. It's weird. It's weird to know that.
How old were they in this book? They were like, were they late teens or were they actually in their 20s? I think they were high school,
No,
right?
they're still in high school, yeah.
Well, the one had a boyfriend who was in college, so I was not sure if like, they were going into college or they're still in high school.
Yeah, still in high school. So definitely problematic.
It's like, I think, and for me, it's like I've left that high school angst.
Yeah.
I let it go a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And then to see it again, it's like, has it not changed? Have we not gotten any better? No.
You would really think, but I really don't think that it has changed.
I don't think it has either.
I think it's gotten worse, honestly.
And that's sad.
To some degree.
It may have.
It's entirely different, in my opinion. Like, a lot of it is online now.
Yeah.
Which is
where there's not much accountability.
Yeah. I thought this was a cool kind of retelling of, like, the Cask of Amontillado. It's not really a retelling or anything. It's just, like, a very modernized, like, glance at it.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
And I thought that was
how much there is of overlap with Cask of Amontillado. It's like, so the main thing is that somebody has done somebody else wrong, right? That's the main thing. And then they're getting bricked up into a wall, right? What else happens in it? Cask of Amontillado? Is that it, basically?
I think that is pretty much it.
It's like, it's short, right? It's because it's like a...
Yeah.
Not a poem.
I didn't think that Felicity really did anything wrong, though. I think she was just...
Oh, my God. No, Felicity...
Because I didn't finish it.
Felicity is...
not to deserve to be bricked up in a wall.
No, she didn't do anything bad.
I don't think that she really deserved that.
She didn't deserve to get murdered, but...
No.
God, she's awful.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely awful.
Well,
she was
definitely problematic. And it's because... I know a lot of it is because of her mom.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what a problematic person.
Yeah.
Like, there are legitimately, like Zach said, literally Hugh is the only good person in this book.
This is true. I mean, you don't even really like the main character.
Yeah. They're all just very problematic. And like, I felt sorry for Tress, but man, how angry she was, I got it. Yeah. But man, going that far out of your way to set all that up is just a little bit
extreme.
Much.
Yeah, she claims she didn't want to kill her.
Extreme.
Like she
definitely did.
She definitely had some at least desire to kill her. Like in her brain though, she had like this sort of weird twisted thought it was like, oh, maybe they're going to be friends again because she brought that. So they used to be best friends when they were kids until the incident happened. Just for the listeners, if you haven't read the book, and the incident was basically that Tress's parents disappeared after a sleepover at Tress's house. We find out sort of what was happening later on in the book, but they don't really say specifically what happened. But they had these best friend necklaces, and Felicity got rid of hers, but then Tress found it at like a yard sale or something like that, and brought it with her to the final thing, like when she was breaking her up on the wall. So I guess she thought that they were going to be best friends afterwards. I don't know.
Yeah, which is really weird because Felicity also had thoughts like that. She was like, I can turn this around at any minute. Like, I care. Like, I love her. She's still my best friend. And then she's like, why am I thinking that? And I'm like, I honestly don't know. Y'all are insane.
Yeah.
Like, it was wild.
It was definitely one of those books where you're on the outside and you're very glad to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would also kind of equate it to, like, it's kind of punny, but a fever dream. Like, would any of this really happen? I mean, in theory, it really could, but all these kids at this old house party that's about to be torn down, so they're just wrecking it one last time. And on top of that, basically, there's a huge outbreak of this horrible flu. And by the way, this was like in 2016. So this was not like a COVID book or anything. But
pre-pandemic.
Yeah, it was pre-pandemic. So like nobody get any triggers from that. But all these kids go out, like they're about to basically put the town on lockdown because of this flu. Like they canceled the football game. And I think maybe the dance too. I can't remember, but
I don't remember there being a dance.
It was about to be like homecoming, so I assume that there would have been. Okay. But I know that they canceled the game.
They were all just planning to go to a party afterwards.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't get to the dance yet.
I don't think they did. I don't remember it.
I know the game was canceled.
The game was canceled.
I'm just trying to, So anyway, so they all went to this house instead because it was being torn down the next day, which is also why Tress was like, perfect time to brick somebody up in it.
Yeah.
Or like pretend to brick them up while actually bricking them up. That you can tell she's a teenager because that sounded good.
Yeah, there's no long range like thoughts as to what could happen or what, how this could actually, I don't know.
I mean,
and at one point,
the ramifications of what they're doing.
Yeah, toward the end of the book, Tress she's like, I didn't plan this far ahead. Like, I thought she would have told me by now. And it never really occurred to her, dang, there's like some reason she doesn't actually remember. Like, she's not just lying anymore. I personally would have been like, dang, she's really not lying about like 3 brick rows in, and then you can still help her out of that. Like, I don't know,
but could you at that point? Because then she'd turn you in, and
once
you're so far, it's like
Felicity multiple times was like, I won't tell anybody, just let me out of here, I promise we can figure this out together. And Tress is just like, now I know you're lying. Like, it's just everything that Felicity said further proved to Tress that she was lying. And I mean, like, she finally remembers bits and pieces at the end. And it is like, for her, whenever she's remembering this is like at the very bitter end. And it's just glimpses and none of it really makes sense. But like the last thing that she says for me is like the very end of the book. And that's whenever I was like, are you joking me? And I had to wait a whole year to read this second book. So y'all can do this now. It's so fun.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to read it just to see what in the world happened. I have some theories.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens. I was very convinced for the longest time that because at one point in the live stream thing with Ribbit.
Oh, yeah.
There was a question, have you killed anyone?
Yeah.
And I was convinced that he was going to say something, but that just never happened. Not in this book, at least. And I was like, oh my God, he killed somebody. He killed like the mom or dad or something like that somehow, even though he was like 5 at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they weren't that young, but they were still pretty young.
They would have been, still, because he is, they're all the same age.
They're all the same age, yeah. And I can't remember when this happened. It was like they were like 12 or something like that. Maybe a little bit younger.
Probably a little bit younger because it's been 7 years and they're in high school. I can't remember if I don't think that they're seniors. Maybe they are.
Well, 7 years. So they would have been maybe
it's
10.
Like when they were in
around 10 or 11. Yeah.
About 10. So yeah, like they were fairly young. And it just doesn't seem like. Yeah. Anyway, so I was convinced that was going to happen. I was also convinced that Hugh might have had something because he was always just there with everybody, like he was maybe putting on a facade. But clearly none of this is true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I was also convinced that it was Felicity's parents had done something to keep everybody else quiet because of the seizures, basically.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of mystery in this and like misdirect. Not really misdirect, you just don't know. Everything looks suspicious. And I think the biggest reason that Felicity was so suspicious for Tress was because she was there with her parents. But why is she there and her parents aren't? It's just kind of like, and then she doesn't remember. So I really get why Tress is very not trusting of Felicity, but at the same time, it's like, she's a kid. Like, she's also a kid just like you. And everybody has forgotten that, including you. Like, you guys should be kids still.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Felicity was kind of a crappy kid, and she made very poor choices. Sure. And she didn't really have any excuse, but my gosh. None of it was, I don't think, intentionally bad. Like, Felicity's stuff was generally not intentionally bad. She was just sort of not doing anything to stop the bad stuff from happening.
Right.
You know.
Right. She doesn't have a spine. She won't stand up to people who have better names than her. And that's like the whole problem. You know, it's like, and Tress had a very good name. She had like one of the best names. And it just was like, it didn't matter because Tress was always herself. Whereas Felicity was always like, I know last names that'll make my mom happy.
See, it was her relationship with her mom that really drove a lot of her choices.
Yep. Yeah, she wanted so bad to be Tress's best friend, like even after everything happened. But her mom just like basically refused. Like, we don't want to stress you out. Okay, well, you're stressing me out, so what are we going to do about that?
Yeah.
And that's how we know I would have been more like Tress in this. Tress was very outspoken a lot for things, you know, when people weren't like super right to her, but in everybody else's eyes, that made her even more white trash.
I want to know where CPS was.
Right? Why did nobody call?
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like there was like,
just check up on her, you know? Just check up on her.
Like 15 people in this whole town, you know? There's nobody there.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
It seems like it.
I don't know. It seemed goofy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like 15 big names, and those are the only names that matter. That's like Hugh makes that reference at one point. He's like, you know why I'm so good at football? Because I have to be to get out of here. Like, I can't count on my last name to get me anywhere. So, you know, I've got to make something work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I think that there's just like no support. Like, and it doesn't sound like anybody goes to this place at all, which seems weird.
Yeah.
But apparently, nobody's in Amontillado.
It's just like a little bubble.
Little podunk little town.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Where the rich people are rich.
Yeah. And the kids are allowed to do what they want.
Yeah. Last names are everything.
What kind of parenting is that?
I don't know. I don't even know.
Did anybody else get...
I tried to finish this. I really did. I even was listening to it on 1.5, which I never do when I didn't get done because I didn't get it till Monday and then, you know, stuff's happened. Yeah. So, but I did try.
Yeah.
Did you guys...
But the teenage angst, I think that's what drove me crazy. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Keep going. Finish.
That was it.
Oh, that was your whole thought? Okay.
Teenage angst. Crazy.
Did anybody else get... So, since this was sort of like, you know, Poe inspired, Did anybody else get Mask of the Red Death sort of vibes there?
A little bit when they started getting
flu,
sick.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, somebody has poisoned something. They're all going to die. And
I did. I thought the same thing.
the cat's just going to be sitting there, and he's the Mask of the Red Death person.
Yeah.
I was convinced.
That was another thing I thought that was really cool. So this is a multiple point of view book. And so you hear from Tress, you hear from Felicity, and then you also hear from the Panther. And I thought that was very interesting, like how he experienced things and how he's talked about things. I felt was actually, in my opinion, fairly spot on for what I think cats are and how they behave. It's very cool. Like he was everywhere and nowhere at the same time in history, like seeing everything. I just thought that was really cool.
And very angry.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean,
not even angry is not the right word.
He's just,
I don't know. It's like,
he's wild.
Yeah.
And he knows that he's not been treated right.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so the way he viewed time was very strange. Did you get that vibe? Like,
yeah, it was.
He was like,
he's like everywhere and nowhere at the same time,
he had,
like seeing
knowledge
everything.
of his past lives.
Yeah,
it was so strange.
And he would get those glimpses of past lives from other cats, and even Tress and Felicity at one point. Because after he swipes Tress, I think either tastes or smells in her blood, like all the memories, and he starts saying Felicity, Felicity, Felicity. And so you're like, oh my God, he's going to go kill Felicity. Like oh my God, that's what's going to happen. The whole thing is very, I thought, cool, because I almost wonder if like cats have 9 lives, but like, I just thought it was very interesting. It doesn't really make sense, but I thought it was very cool.
No, there's definitely
something
supernatural going on with the cat.
Yeah, but I think it was kind of like reference that all of them are like that, because he licked the other cats that would come around, and he would like sense their histories, and he saw like the one cat that was missing a tail. They like experienced the knife together, like in, I don't know yeah. So I just thought that was very interesting, and obviously it's probably not true, but it was one of those things. The entire book, every time the cat came on, I was just like, man, what are we gonna experience now? And the whole time he was like, humans are just horrible. And I wanted to be like, not me, please come snuggle. And this is like where I die.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You would have gotten murked immediately. He was not
for sure.
He was not a nice kitty. He is very much a wild animal.
I know. And yet it's my duty in life to make sure he is loved.
Oof.
He must know I love him. Oh, yeah, for sure. If I ever wind up dead, it's probably an animal, and I'm not sorry.
I'm assuming the cat is in the second book, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, it would have to be, because otherwise that would be just like such a waste. Also, what was the cat talking about? Well, okay, so if this is from the second book, don't tell me, obviously, but somebody committed suicide in that house. I couldn't tell if that was like a present thing or a past thing. It sounded like it was a past thing, and he was like getting glimpses of it. But it also
don't remember.
It sort of sounded like it was somebody at the party, because they talked about some guy swinging, and his toes were like brushing this chick's hair or whatever.
Okay, I see what you mean now. No, that was definitely a past thing that happened.
That's what I thought.
I don't think that they really talk about the history of that house much. I don't think so anyway. But yeah, no, that was more of a history thing, because there was also at one point like a woman and her baby in like a bassinet or something in that room too, I think.
Yeah, sure. There was also that. Like
he says mother comes to the crying child or something.
Yeah, that's the thing that made me think it was like, oh, this is a past thing. Is because they're all also talking about the baby stuff. So that makes a lot of sense.
It was so cool. How crazy would that be to experience all of that all the time, all at once? Like if you sit and listen to that, he said like that's whenever he really saw things was whenever he was quiet. When you just see all the history around you.
It'd be a lot to take in.
It would be. Yeah. And he's just like, this is normal.
It is what it is.
Yeah. It's a very cat attitude.
I mean, if you just like were around that your entire life, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird panther dude. I don't know. Well, I guess I sort of know how
You have that. And then there's my cat who runs every 10 feet and falls over to get petted. I mean, it's like there's not even the same species. You know, it's like.
I mean, technically, they're not the same species.
Well, I know, but I mean, it's like not the same family. How's that sound?
Yeah, the same family. I don't know. My cat, I think, is a very good mixture of panther and silly house cat. But, oh my goodness. Cats. I just think cats are something else.
They are.
They're definitely something else.
And usually it's a good thing.
Yeah. And this was such a cool perspective for, especially an animal in general.
Yeah.
And I also, I don't think, no, it wasn't in this one, but I think in the next book there are either like just a couple of chapters from Rue, who is the orangutan. Yeah, I think I need to read the book again. I'm going to. This is, I guess, the year of rereads for me. I've reread like 20 books so far.
Dang.
I think I'm exaggerating a little bit. I think I'm more like at like 7 or 8, but that's a lot of rereads for me. I don't reread this much. I haven't hated it. I've liked everything I've reread still. It's kind of fun to go back and look at all the things that what I thought originally versus what I think now. This one didn't change much.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny that one, the 5 People You Meet in Heaven, the one Ariel did.
Mm-hmm.
My reread, I didn't like it as much.
Yeah.
So,
maybe because I'd already got what I needed out of it.
Yeah.
And then it's
like, I thought that was very interesting too. Because I've never really, like the only book I've ever reread, obviously, is Pride and Prejudice. And I do that so much, I can recite pretty much the whole book by myself anyway. But this is the most I've reread anything in a year. And it's been interesting. I've expected to not like stuff nearly as much. But that hasn't been much that, like, some of my views have changed, like, just on a couple of things. Like, I missed things on a first reread or on the first read through, and then I'm like, oh, dang, like, that totally. And I kind of got that sense here, but, like, I knew what was happening, so I wasn't as surprised. But especially at the end with Felicity, I still was like, this was so crazy how it was done, because you don't really know, but like I remember the first time I read this book at the very end, I was like, oh my God, Tress, ah, like freaking out, like the call's coming from inside the house. And this time around, I knew it was coming. And so I really tried to pay attention, and like, I really didn't see any of it. I knew it was coming. So like, it wasn't framed in a way that was obvious, which is, a lot of times I miss stuff. I don't look for it. Yeah. So this time around, I really was trying to see, like, how obvious was it? And I didn't think it was that obvious at all.
How obvious was I thought it was like, in particular?
Ribbit.
Oh, because... Oh, you mean the Ribbit stuff where apparently it was him who carried her up? Or whatever?
Yes.
See, I still don't even remember that. I swear it didn't happen, but... You read it twice.
Like, whenever I read, Well, see, no, like the first book, like whenever I first read it, like a couple of years ago, I knew, like I got from it that it was Ribbit that carried her up, and so it had to have been his parents that he was with, because he was never without his mom. But yeah, that's like.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sure what happened at the end of the book, because they were so they were driving. Her back to her place, missed the turn, right? Went to a bridge.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to drive off of it, and that's what happened, but apparently that is not what happened.
Yeah, the bridge was out.
Yeah.
They had been working on it, and they didn't put it back, and I think he forgot about it or something.
Yeah, he did forget about it,
fighting.
But they didn't drive off of it, did they? I thought maybe they did drive off of it. Okay.
I'm not one. I don't remember 100%. As far as I can tell, that was Ribbit's parents who were talking and not Tress's parents. Yeah.
I did not get that.
I just kind of assumed that they just held them under the water and Tress was supposed to be next. But Ribbit was like, no.
Oh, no, because like somebody chucked her into the water at the end of the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I don't remember exactly. I need to like, if I want a physical copy of the book so I could read just that last little section again.
Right. I think I think that they did, like, they were going to throw her in, and I think Ribbit waited until his parents left and went and got her back.
Yeah. I mean, they did throw her in. They did throw her in. So.
Like, all three of them were supposed to die, and Ribbit said no can do. Because I don't know what it is about Ribbit. I feel very bad for him, but...
Well, Hugh had some definite... opinions about him too.
Yeah.
Do you find out why later in the next book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes, you find out everything in the second book. It really just wraps everything up with a very nice bow and even like a shiny tag. Like, you know everything by the end of that book. It's wild. And I think that one takes a little bit longer to, like, there's a lot of investigation in that one and soul searching, I want to say. Like, that one's a very emotional book. Just because everybody has to face everything in that book. So, it's wild. It's definitely wild. And everybody is still sick. So.
Of course.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
So, the whole time, Ribbit knew and never told.
Because he was told not to by his mom.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some kind of messed up. Yeah.
But there's more into like the whole scene because Tress's dad was gone and was not supposed to be gone. And he was coming home. And that was like the whole reason, like Tress's mom got in the car and was like, we're taking Felicity home. She's sick. And like, she wants to go home. And so basically they fought the entire time. It was a very tense fighting. And Felicity says like, I know to make myself very quiet, but in this whole time, she's like going into a seizure. So she's trying to not, which I think that's the other thing that makes me really mad about her mom, Felicity's mom. Like, oh my God. Just let the child, like let somebody, why wouldn't you let her best friend's parents know at least?
Really?
They're not going to think any less of you. Like, they would not be the people to think less of you. Maybe like, Ribbit's parents, sure, but like they wouldn't give a crap. Anyway. So she spent a lot of that time not paying attention to what they were saying, but she picked out bits and pieces because she does that whenever her parents fight like that. And as far as she knew, Tress's parents were not like that. So it was a weird thing for her on top of trying to not have a seizure and then getting like I don't know, we call it amnesia from the seizures because she doesn't remember anything during.
It's like she just effectively passes. Yeah, she just passes out. She loses consciousness.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a whole basically perfect storm. And she doesn't remember because of her seizure, but then she kind of doesn't want to remember because that's traumatic as
Yeah.
Oh, in the second book, do we figure out who Tress's dad was cheating with?
Yes.
Okay. And I was thinking about that one. I was pretty sure it was like Felicity's mom or something like that. That'd be funny.
I can't remember who it was, but we do find out. It's like I said, everything is uncovered because whenever Tress first calls the hotline again after the 7 years, the police officer says to her, you know, don't be surprised by what you find. Like, only believe about half of what you find if you're going to go looking into this again. And he's like, and don't be surprised if all the bad stuff you find out about your parents is true. Because not everybody is, you know, as great as we think they are. And that's a very good piece of advice to give a kid, especially a kid looking for answers from adults. But also it's like you should think that about everybody. It shouldn't just be your parents. Like, there's always something we don't know, and it's not always going to be good. But yeah, it gets pretty nasty. Like, just how, intricate a lot of this story is. Like, I really would have thought it was just very cut and dry. And I can remember being like, this is intricate as like, wow. It went in depth.
Okay, so I'm rereading the last little chunk of this. They don't fall off the bridge. They get to the bridge, slam on the brakes. Annabelle and Lee. Oh my god, I just realized it.
Annabelle
Lee. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about that until just now. Anyway.
Because you saw it instead of hearing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Annabelle and Lee get out of the car because somebody else is there. There's like bright lights. And then there's like the little bits of things. And then it sounds like Annabelle chucks her into the water.
Oh, okay.
But like it's just very unclear from this little chapter. You get words. You get papers, thief stole mine, yours, sister, don't please money, listen. And then Annabelle chucks her overboard. So yeah, I don't think they talk about what's his face in here.
It should go after.
It just says that
it
says Hugh didn't carry me. That's all she says.
That's the last thing she says?
No, the last thing she says is she reaches out for Hugh and she just feels bricks.
She doesn't say, I know that face.
No, she didn't say, I know that face. I don't think so. I'm looking at it.
All right. Okay. I'm going to have to find this as well because I swear.
See, I'm not the only one I'm not the only one that makes up like parts.
Because I remember it in the first book, like the first time I read it and the second time. Like I was like, oh my God, she really did say it. Hold on. Let me just find maybe somewhere. Or not.
It's not the first part of the second book, is it?
No, because I haven't reread the second book.
Okay.
Do you have a physical copy with you?
No, I'm borrowing one now, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I was looking back through it because I just checked it out from the library because it was just like there, like the Kindle version, and I was looking at it because I just didn't remember what you were talking about. I was like, I'm not sure. Anyway, though, while you're looking for that. The grandpa, I wanted to talk about him briefly. My God, what a scumbag, useless person.
Oh my
I
Lord,
don't understand how in the world. Well, I'm glad for Tressa's grandma for getting rid of him, but I feel like she shouldn't have disowned the kid so much.
Yeah,
like that's kind of crappy grandma behavior.
Oh, yeah.
And just leaving him with the grandpa because the grandpa sucks, like real bad.
Yeah.
And he's the most misogynistic person. He's awful. I mean, I get that he's bitter because he lost everything from the grandma, but it sounds like he was just kind of an awful person before then as well.
I got it. It's chapter 86. It's the one. Okay, so there at the end, there's a lot of very short chapters, and it switches back and forth between Tress and Felicity and the cat. So it's chapter 86 where she is like out essentially, but she's having this memory, and this is before. So this is after she's in the water whenever she's being brung out. So it says, my hair, it floats, tangles with Annabelle's. We float, bubbles from her mouth, bubbles from Lee's nose, eyes flat and dead, and fish take a nibble. There is weight on my chest, half of a heart. I am pulled, angry words. No, don't, can't, shouldn't, won't. Listen to me. Hair dangles, swinging with my hair. And the heart, it tangles. I am carried out of the water. I am carried onto the bank. I am carried. I am dripping. I am wet. I am carry me, take care of me. Not the raven flashing tattoo, black. It is an angry Z, red slash of skin, not healed, stitches, like small mouths held tightly shut. Hands on my face, hands wanting me to be okay. This boy always wanting to help, always wanting to make it better, always wanting to make up for the thing that was so wrong. Oh, Tress, oh, Tress, oh, Tress, they are dead. And I knew, but I didn't know that I knew. And he knows, not me. And so it's just like, that's rivet.
clearly rivet at that point. Yeah, I did not remember
I knew
this.
it was in there. I thought it was the last thing that she knew, that she realized. So it was not. So, okay. We got to figure it out.
Well, chapter 86 and chapter 87 are both Felicity, and the next one is just I am gone.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so I think the issue was I did not pick up on this the stitched up thing and the boy always wanting to help being Ribbit the first time. I think I just like missed that part.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember in this book them talking about Ribbit having a scar. I think they probably did.
They do,
but
because he got bit by
they do.
What was his name? William Wilson, the dog.
The dog, yeah.
That was that long ago? I thought that was fairly recent.
No, that was
that he got bit by the dog.
Apparently that long ago.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, yeah. See, I mean, yeah, I don't remember
a lot of details. It's hard to remember every little bit. But no, that makes sense. So it was Ribbit who
got
carried
me
him up.
was...
And Annabelle was
that's what got me was the boy always wanting to help. Yeah, and her dad. Ugh.
So Annabelle chucks her in the river, it sounds like, and then also gets murked and put in the river too, which is wild.
She probably threw her in the river to not be killed.
And then she got killed anyway.
Yeah. Dang. I totally missed that it was Annabelle that threw her in.
Yeah, that's what
I missed that too.
That's what it implies based on this. It doesn't explicitly say, oh, Annabelle picked her up and chucked her in the water. But it says something like that. Because she's like,
that's
talks
wild.
about Lee and then her being carried and Annabelle right before she drops.
I just always thought that was the car going into the water.
No, they stop and there's just somebody else there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Which is
cool.
wild. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna have to read the second book because I don't know. I want to know the actual answers. I think that, although I do think that there are some missed opportunities here for there was like more foreshadowing and not like stuff actually happening, at least not in this book. So I would like to see what actually happens with that. Like I was 100% convinced that they were going to do something with that "Have you ever murdered somebody?" question, because it came up twice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
Yeah. Actually, I think that person asked it more than twice.
It might have been more than twice.
It was only...
I remember twice,
yeah.
at least.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was only like really brought to Hugh's attention twice. Like he kept looking at it because I know he sent the screenshot to Bryn, I think, and was like, what the hell does this mean? And he never asked it though.
Yeah.
Which I want to know who. Well, I know it was just like a live stream person, so it was probably somebody from one of the Facebook groups. Like they reference in the book, there are a couple of Facebook groups that are like true crime, and this is like they were dedicated to specifically this story. So I really wonder if it was one of them who had wild theories or whatever.
I mean, I had that theory once that question came up personally. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, he would have been 11 at the time, but maybe something happened. Or he was like, oh, no, I never killed anybody, but my mom did. Or, oh, I saw somebody get killed. You know, something like that. I thought it would have been something like that.
Yeah, I did too.
But they never do it. It was frustrating.
I know. I was actually pretty disappointed in Hugh at that point because, like, that was his opening. Like, he never liked Ribbit. He was like, there's something wrong with this kid. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong with him. I don't know why he never asked. Like, that is just such the perfect opening for him. I don't even know.
Maybe he didn't really want to know the answer.
Well, probably not. I guess that's fair. He is a smart kid. So I guess, but also you could have did everything. And that's probably why he didn't, because then she doesn't have a second book. But yeah. That's, I always wondered about that myself.
I guess Tress is a drug dealer. That's not good.
Yeah.
Tress is just like not I get that she was like not really shunned, but like she was not treated super well. But my gosh, I think she went a little bit over the top. Anyway, yeah, I think that there's not a ton.
She really
else to
just
talk
embraced
about
it.
If I do read the second book, I will bring it up at the one of the whatever
book chats.
Book chats.
I think her grandpa had a lot to do with the fact the way she turned out too.
Oh, I agree.
I mean,
Well,
she
yeah,
was-
she would have had a good influence
I mean,
in
there
her
was like
life.
layers of trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me so mad that her aunt did not step in and be like, you can live with us. She also has a good name. Like, what do you mean? I don't even.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously at this point, like, it's clear why, but also, wouldn't that be easier to control the narrative for
You would
all of
think.
that? Like, I really would have thought, I don't know. In my opinion, not very good villain planning.
Unless they hope she died.
That's fair. Yeah, they could have. What an easy way to wrap that up.
Yeah.
Putting a child near all the, and they knew that he would too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's a very good point.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I really enjoyed this book. This is not a happy book. So if you're looking for that, like, just don't.
I don't know what I was expecting, but
It's like
it was not that.
Yeah. It's very wild. Like, it's a lot of mystery and you don't get very many answers at all. So don't expect that either. And I would be very interested in all of the theories that anybody else has who has read this book or is going to read this book. So if you are in this episode and you have read the book, leave us some comments about your theories on this, because I had a lot of theories at the end of this book and I think only the one worked out for me. So
At least you got one.
yeah. On our next episode, we will be interviewing author Sophia Brown. She writes children's books, and she started writing them for her grandchildren. They're super cute. We're excited about that. We will then have a Curiosities from Ariel and I, and we still have not picked one. Well, we have. We just haven't remembered what it was.
Okay, then.
We're tired. Then we're going to do Carla's Deep Dive, The Descent of Woman. And then we're going to do Zach's nonfiction pick. Have you picked one for that
I
yet?
have one, but I'm debating on it right now. It's called The Chip Wars. I'm thinking that might be a good one, but I'm not sure it would be the best discussion topic. So we'll see.
What kind of chips? Are we talking like potato
yeah,
chips
definitely
or
potato
like
chips. No,
microchips?
His computer chips, I'm sure.
It's definitely computer chips. It's about the competition between the U.S. and China for chip manufacturing.
Oh.
But it's kind of long, and I'm not entirely sure I want to go delve that deep into it. It's like 460 pages. It's a long book.
Oh, dear God.
That's wild.
Mine's not
you
that
can do
long.
that one by yourself.
And there's all kinds of things to talk about with it. All kinds.
yeah.
It will be a good discussion.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
And-
right now.
yeah.
So we'll see if I start and enjoy it, then I'll go ahead and go do that one.
Okay. We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It's time for us to sign off, but before we go, only the best libraries have librarians who don't shish you. We don't murder either.